Lake Merritt's always been here since the last ice age, when the glaciers melted and sea levels rose. The Indians, of course, were the first people to come, and basically a hunting-gathering group. First white men probably came in, I guess, with the Spanish over Point Reyes, and tried to develop the city of Oakland, and then Brooklyn across the channel. Along came a guy named Sam Merritt, came out here for the gold rush, late 1800s. Came across from San Francisco. He was a medical doctor, great big man, about 6'6", 330 pounds. And he, came into this area, saw Lake Merritt, and said, "This is the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life." So he settled over here. Never practiced medicine, but he became mayor and put up a lot of his own money to create the dam, build the dam, helped make it the first wildlife refuge in North America back in 1870. So they named the lake after him. Before that it was Lake Peralta, and it's been Lake Merritt ever since.
I mean, Lake Merritt is a beautiful lake, very important to the city of Oakland, and the landscape is hard to see from afar, but if you get up close you can tell that it's necessary for it to be cleaned up a little more frequently, a little more often.
Well, the trash comes into the lake mainly in the rainy season because of the rain that washes it in from the 7-square-mile watershed. Ultimately, it comes from litter bugs who just, throw it on the ground. They think the whole world's their own private garbage can. And when the rains come, it washes it in through the storm drains, which come down to Lake Merritt. 62 storm drains, drain into Lake Merritt from these 7 square miles. Unless there's a filter somewhere in between, it's going to come in untreated, garbage in, garbage out. We get some trash in the non-rainy season from people walking by, throwing it in directly, or from wind blowing it in. But the vast majority of it is washed in by the rain.
You have to think of Lake Merritt as part of the body of Oakland, and all the streams, the storm drains, they're like our veins and arteries, and all that material that is deposited or thrown as trash ends up in those streams and arteries and is deposited in Lake Merritt. Lake Merritt is like our liver. You ever hear the expression, "we all live downstream"? That's kind of an operating principle that we work with Lake Merritt, because anything that's thrown anywhere in the hills of Oakland has the potential of getting caught up in a storm drain and being carried and deposited at Lake Merritt. Lake Merritt is like the floating ash can or the trash can of Oakland. All the fast food wrappers, all the cigarette butts that people just throw out of their cars or whipping down the streets, all that ends up in one collected place. And that's why Lake Merritt is that place.
Free on the water, I sit and stare a while.
Pollution in the lake affects the birds because sometimes the birds will mistake the trash for food, and they'll ingest so much plastic where they can't digest real food, and they'll pass away due to starvation. I've seen birds at Lake Merritt that have gone out feeding and they've ended up getting rubber bands stuck around their beaks. They have plastic soda, those 6 rings from beer and soda cans wrapped around their necks. So, think of it, every potential piece of plastic, which never decays, is a possible source of getting to the birds.
During my walks around the lake, it took me about 3 months to get up my courage to go over to the boathouse and look for Dr. Bailey. He had posted signs around the lake asking if anyone would care to volunteer. Just show up at 10:30 on Tuesdays or Thursdays and Saturdays. And that's what I did, and I've kind of gotten addicted to cleaning the lake.
It's our first iPhone from the lake. We have a Barbie type doll. Lots of high-tech trash, CDs. Actually, a lot of these work. This is a mahjong set in here. Messages in bottles. We get occasional one of these baby shoes. This littering starts at a very early age. A bottle of water all the way from Fiji. Ah, Bambi, dear. This frisbee didn't find its way back. This pot was actually out there, cook pot. This is the fun stuff, but the serious side of it is that these things do have an impact. They reduce property values. Nobody wants to live near a dirty lake, and the wildlife don't like it. So that's why we go out and clean up.
Consider it the Jewel of Oakland because, one, it survived. It has survived since the year 1870 with all the pressures around it to fill it in, to divide it up, but it's a reflection of not only the diversity of the wildlife that's out here, but the diversity of the people that come to Oakland.
I think it's important because it provides a nice place for families to go, or just anybody wants to relax and have a good time.
It's a wildlife refuge. It's a place to go and sit on the grass and kind of recharge your batteries. See the green. Get away from it all.
The serenity, the water, the animals, the people, the energy, the calm. I like everything about it, especially when it's not stinking and polluted. Oh. Erase, rewind.
It's kind of like a little museum out there at Lake Merritt. So this one is a little bit different. It's up on the wall. But I think actually this is what the litter bugs look like. These are the guys that are littering in the lake. So don't look like this. Don't be that.